everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lucy and welcome if you're new here, and if you're not, welcome back. It's time for my favourite video to film of the year. It is autumn book recommendations time. Like, finally, the season has arrived. So if you're new to my channel, you may not know that I am the biggest autumn obsessed person here. I mean, that's probably not true. There are a lot of amazing, autumn content creators, as if that's a thing, but I love it. And there's a lot of cozy booktube channels that I love to watch too, but I have a big thing for autumn. Like, it's when I feel the most creative, it's when I feel the most alive. That sounds so depressing, but it's true. So I really wanted to recommend you my top books for this season that really just help me get into the mood. And if you're looking for a dose of autumn this season, maybe it's still super hot where you are. I mean, in London right now, it's still really warm. But hopefully these recommendations will put you in that cozy, chilly spirit. Let's just get cracking. Without further ado, these books are in no order, and the first book I'm going to start with is a thriller. Now, I don't read a lot of thrillers. You'll see if you've watched my videos before. I'm more of a fantasy, I'm more of a romance, kind of historical fan. But The Maidens was a thriller that I knew I had to read, and honestly, I think you all need to read it too. So this is by Mcclades, and The Maidens came out a few years back, and it's kind of like a dark academia thriller. So this is set in Cambridge, at Cambridge University, and follows a series of murders that are happening on campus. Now, the main crux to this story, the reason why it's called The Maidens, is there is this very enigmatic professor who basically has this group of girls who follow him everywhere, admire him, and he is a classics professor, and he basically has this weird cult following of all these students. And our main character, Mariana, used to go to Cambridge, and she'd recently lost her husband, and she is caught up in grief and absolutely, crazed with grief. Then her niece, who goes to Cambridge, discovers that her best friend has been murdered. Mariana needs to go back there to support her niece, but also she gets embroiled in the mystery and tries to solve out who did these murders. Now, these murders are quite like ritualistic, I guess. There's a lot of classical allusions to these murders in the sense that they really kind of call back to ancient Greece and the classics, and this enigmatic professor is obviously a classics professor. So, Mariana starts to suspect him. So I really would recommend The Maidens if you're after something a bit different for a thriller, something down the dark academia front. I must say, like, this wasn't a 5-star thriller for me, but it was really up there. I think I gave it like 4 stars because I was left guessing. I didn't guess who the murderer would be. There's a kind of massive plot twist in this, which I did not see coming, but the kind of feel to this book, like Cambridge in the autumn. I actually read this book whilst I was on a city break in Cambridge, and it was so like perfect because I could imagine myself in this book, and it was so chilling and such a beautiful setting where obviously these dark things are happening. So I really would recommend The Maidens if you're after a thriller with a bit of a difference, like a spooky, atmospheric, dark academia twist. Next up is a classic. So yes, I've been known to read classics in my time. I don't often talk about classics anymore on this channel, mainly because I don't read them, but I used to read a lot of classics. I did English literature at university, and I'm a big Jane Austen fangirl, and I also love the romantic poets, but I have never really read any kind of like more modern classics. And for that reason, a few years ago, I decided to pick up Jamaica Inn by Daphne du Maurier. So I have read Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. That is definitely a recommendation for autumn. If you're looking for something super chilling and also a modern classic, like, I would recommend reading Rebecca. So good. But Jamaica Inn, I think, has slipped under a lot of people's radars, and there have been mixed reviews of this, strangely, but I actually read this whilst on holiday in Cornwall, which is where this book is set, and it was the most atmospheric book, and it made it so perfect for autumn because this book is very dark indeed. It is all about smuggling. Now, if you know anything about Cornwall in kind of the 1800s, which is when this book is set, I believe, then you know it has a very dark history regarding smuggling. And this book starts in November time, so It follows our young heroine, Mary Yellen, who, upon the death of her mother, goes to stay with her aunt. But her aunt and uncle live in the middle of nowhere in Cornwall, in this place called Jamaica Inn. Now, Jamaica Inn is actually a real place. You can visit Jamaica Inn. It is in the middle of nowhere. But basically, Mary stays at Jamaica Inn with her aunt and uncle, and she starts to notice a lot of weird goings on. Like, no one actually stays at this inn. It has no customers, but every so often a group of men would arrive and would stay up all night kind of talking, and it was all very secretive. It's also worth noting that her uncle is a complete brute and abuses Mary and her auntie, and is kind of like this really dominating, terrifying figure. So I won't kind of spoil what's been actually going on at Jamaica Inn, but let's just say smuggling is a huge part of this book. And this book is so dark and atmospheric. There are a lot of secrets, a lot of very bad deeds going on. But there's also romance in this, which I particularly adored, that like kind of inclusion. Mary does have a relationship with her uncle's brother, and I'm a huge fan. Like, this book was incredible. I urge you all to read it for something that's historical and a classic, but equally very atmospheric and will instantly put you in an autumnal mood. The next book is a graphic novel. We are switching up the genres here. This is Pumpkinheads by Faith Erin Hicks and Rainbow Rowell. So, Pumpkinheads I mention in every single autumn book recommendations video. You are probably sick of me talking about it, but it puts me in the autumn spirit like no other book, and I read this book without fail every single autumn because it is so sweet. It takes me about like 2 hours or less to actually read this book because it's so short, and it is the perfect start to any autumn reading. So this is basically about a pumpkin patch where our two main characters, a boy and a girl, basically they don't see each other apart from when they work this pumpkin patch every single autumn. Now, this is the last time they'll be working this pumpkin patch because they're about to go off to college, and they have a beautiful love story. They are afraid to basically confront their feelings to each other, so they basically go on this wild goose chase around the pumpkin patch, visiting the different kind of parts. So you get to see this incredible pumpkin patch, and as a British person, we don't have that type of thing. Like, I look at America, which obviously where this is set, and I'm like, you guys really do autumn and Halloween in the best possible way. This is always a treat for me because I get that kind of like, you know, festive feel from it. But this is amazing. The actual illustrations, like, I want to show you my favorite illustration. Like, just look how beautiful this is. I mean, there are just pumpkins everywhere and I absolutely love it. So please check this graphic novel out. You will really enjoy it. Now, the next book is a very dark book. There are kind of content warnings abound, but this is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. So this is a proof copy that I kindly got sent a few years back from Gallant, and this book I absolutely loved, and I'm so excited that Leigh Bardugo has announced that Hellbent, the second book in the series, is coming out in the next few years, I think, like next year or something. So Ninth House is a dark academia, kind of gothic thriller, I guess. It's set at Yale University and follows Alex Stern, where she has this ability where basically she can see ghosts. And this book is all about secret societies, and there are murders that are going on, and Alex Stern has to basically investigate these secret societies to find out who has been doing these murders. But it's kind of told between different timelines, I guess. So it shows a budding relationship with someone called Darlington, who is basically like Alex's mentor, as well as Alex's own past, where something dark happens to her. So content warnings abound for a lot of different things: sexual assault, rape, murder. A lot of things are going on in this book. This is very adult, but if you really want to get into the season and you want to read something chilling, terrifying, and equally epic, because it is Leigh Bardugo and she knows how to write a novel, this book will be perfect for you. Now, the next book is a kind of YA middle grade fantasy, and this is Gallant by Ve Schwab. So long-standing viewers may be surprised why I'm holding this book up in a recommendations video, but I just want to caveat this with saying I did give this like 3.5 stars, so it isn't in my opinion, one of the best books. Like, this isn't like a 5-star book recommendation for me, but I know a lot of people who absolutely adored this book. And the reason why I am recommending it for autumn is because I think the good parts of the book are actually, in my opinion, perfect for the season. So it is very atmospheric. This book is just pure atmosphere, and my kind of one reservation was that it's more atmosphere than plot. But actually, I think for this season, if you like that sort of thing where, you know, it's very understated, very quiet, but very, very chilling, and very kind of like all about the atmosphere, all about like this creepy goings on, then you will really, really actually enjoy this. So this is set in a creepy house called Gallant, where there are basically 2 sides of this house. It's like a shadow house. It follows our main character Olivia, who is 16 years old, and she is brought up in an orphanage, being told that she doesn't have any parents. But then when a letter arrives from her uncle saying that she is wanted, she is loved, she can come to Gallant where he lives. You know, this is her dream. Like, she is so excited, and she goes to Gallant. But all she finds at Gallant is her cousin Matthew, who basically is like, yeah, my uncle's been dead for years and I didn't send this. Who basically says that his father is dead and she is not welcome at Gallant. Now, of course she stays because there is a mystery to Gallant, and basically you can't go beyond this gate in the garden because, well, she doesn't know why, but she's been told that she can't go beyond that. And this is super creepy. There is a mystery at the heart of like the secrets of this house that also tie in really nicely with Olivia finding out the secrets of her parentage. And I really would recommend for that reason. Like, it is really good, the reveal, and I enjoyed this despite the fact that I thought, yeah, it kind of lacked on the plot front, but atmosphere wise, it's a 10. So I would recommend this if you're looking for something quite short, quite atmospheric, and if you haven't read Gallant before, give it a go, you might really like it. Now, the next book I have to recommend is another dark academia thriller. It is the classic The Secret History by Donna Tartt. So if you have never read this book before, this is your chance to read it this autumn. So The Secret History is a modern classic for a reason. It is a masterpiece of suspense, and it is a kind of hallmark of the dark academia aesthetic, I guess. So this is set at a New England college, kind of like Ninth House, but this follows a group of classic students who, followed by their professor, basically commit a load of dark deeds. And oh, does this get dark? Like, this gets super dark, but I loved it. The tension, the writing is stunning. Like, Donna Tartt is obviously an award winner. She is a phenomenal writer, and you can really tell in The Secret History. Like, there's no wonder that it is so popular. This all really skirts the boundaries of morality, and you see this group of friends committing acts that are perhaps very dark and very morally wrong. And at the start of the novel, you do know that one of the friends is going to be killed, and that is very clear from the get-go. So you kind of know that this person's going to be killed, but then you're like, well, how does that happen? And it starts to unravel the kind of turning points where this person in their friend group ends up getting killed. And it is all very dark and brilliant. So if you've not read The Secret History, it is worth the accolades, and I really would recommend it. It is perfect for autumn, for that like dark academia creepiness. And this is obviously a thriller, so you are at the edge of your seat the whole time. I'd recommend getting dark and cozy with this, and get a blanket and just staying in on a rainy day. Like, that's the perfect setting for this book. And finally, the next 2 books I want to recommend are a series, and it is the Kingdom of the Wicked series by Kerry Maniscalco. I'm recommending this series in every video because I am the biggest fangirl ever, and this series is phenomenal. Please read it. So the first book is Kingdom of the Wicked, and the second book that I'm holding up here is Kingdom of the Cursed. This is the beautiful Waterstone special edition. Big fan. So Kingdom of the Wicked is kind of a YA/adult fantasy series. Now I say kind of YA/adult because the first book is technically YA. The second book, the author was like, yeah, this is definitely an adult series, so warnings. But wow, is the series amazing and perfect for this time of year. It is set in kind of historic Italy, so kind of medieval or maybe a little bit later Italy. I'm guessing like 1600s, 1700s Italy. It doesn't have a date on it, but that's what I'm guessing by the kind of vibe. So it follows Amelia and her sister Vittoria. Both sisters are witches, and sadly Amelia discovers Vittoria murdered, and she needs to get to the bottom of who has murdered her sister. Now, as Amelia and Vittoria are witches, they are told very early on by their grandmother, who is also a witch, do not trust the 7 princes of hell, do not do anything with them, do not engage in any deals with them because they are out to get witches, they are our biggest enemy and they will take you down. And to solve Vittoria's murder, Amelia has to team up with one of the 7 princes of hell, Wrath. Now, her and Wrath are basically discovering who has murdered her sister. Her sister isn't the first witch that has been murdered in Italy. So they are kind of going around trying to solve this mystery. And the first book is really about that mystery and who has done the murder. The second book basically sees the outcome of a deal that Amelia makes at the end of the first book. And the second book sees Amelia go to hell to basically fulfill this deal with one of the 7 princes of hell. And oh my lord, is it dark? Is it steamy? Is it excellent? This is the creepiest like series. It is beautiful, it's very atmospheric, and it's so gothic and equally just great. Very well written, very well paced, and you will be obsessed like me, trust me, because Wrath, we're a big fan. Anyway, so please read this series, you will not regret it, I'm obsessed. So guys, that is it for my autumn book recommendations. I realise a lot of these are very gothic, very dark, very kind of like spooky, but that is the vibe that I look for in my autumn reading. I'm not really kind of like a cozy reader in the sense of I want like a, you know, just a pure romance or something contemporary. I'm often looking for something quite dark, quite gothic, very atmospheric, and sometimes and often historical. I feel like that really gets me in that kind of cozy autumn mood. So guys, thank you again for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you did enjoy this video, and I'll see you very, very soon in my next one. Bye.